Why do I have cloning buildings up at my mansion? Now, as a lot of you know, I'm leaving. I'm not going to be part of the Immentons. I'm not going to be making videos for the Immentons. I'm not going to be doing that anymore. But I did want to come on here because I wanted to talk about something that will not change, and that is the cloning buildings. I have been getting so much pushback over the years from so many people saying, get rid of the resources in the cloning buildings in the building. Don't continue to clone people. Just stop what you're doing. I have succeeded in not letting it get the better of me, and I have succeeded in staying true to myself and going, no, I'm not going to do that. Because it's what I value, but something that is so exciting and so delicious about this is it's also not what I value at the same time. And occasionally, it is a good idea to get out of what you value if you want to take certain risks. Now, they may come from an egoic place, a mental, intellectual space of I want to take this risk. I dress in certain ways, and there are certain things I'm used to. But then there are also ways of being in certain people that are against who I am, and yet I want to take a risk and engage with those people and act in those ways, even if it may not be true for me. And that can feel really exciting and exhilarating at times, especially with a sun square moon conversation of tension. Beyond what is inside the cloning building, what are the resources inside the cloning building? Well, you already know. For those who don't already know, adolescent males. Every single time that I get out on my scooter, there is always an ulterior motive. Even though I may not intend to do that sometimes, it always ends up becoming a motive because of where I live relative to where parks are and relative to the fact that I can get on a scooter and easily do it, so why not take advantage? Why restrict myself or limit myself from taking advantage of opportunities? Now, there's something also to understand, is that last year, April 16th, I was almost knocked off the sidewalk by someone on a moped who came charging at me deliberately in order to scare me. I don't want to analyze that, and the reason why is because I put myself in that situation. I didn't know that was going to be how it was going to be. I was just innocently going by without expecting that. So that was innocent. But I put myself in the situation because I went that direction on my scooter. Of course, not knowing what would happen, not expecting it. I was unprepared for it, but I went in that direction anyway. And when I go on my scooter, and when I see certain people who meet certain criteria and qualifications that are in conjunction with those that are in that building, when I see those people, particularly wearing certain clothes, then those are opportunities that are presented to me, and I have taken advantage of them, because here's an opportunity. It has felt wrong to take advantage of those opportunities, but I've also felt the guilt and regret from not taking advantage of those opportunities. I see someone and I go closer to him, and I introduce myself and do several things. My intention is not to knock people down or irritate or bother or disturb or stalk anyone. Stalking is something entirely arbitrary to what I am doing, what I might continue to do, and what I've already done. And that's not what I do, because there are natural limits to people's space and, all the natural ethical boundaries that I can't get past, because it does not feel right to break certain boundaries and to do certain things. It just doesn't, and I won't cross those boundaries. I won't do anything against those values. But if I can sit down and feel a desire coming up, I want to get out there and do these things and go these places, and I feel that feeling, that urge to take advantage of opportunities, and it comes from a feeling place, then that's different. And I have felt that before. My intention is not to knock people off the road, but to get closer to them and meet them and introduce myself. And that really brings me to what I decided to do. In 2019, I made the executive decision to build a cloning building. It still stands, and it will not be torn down. There's many benefits to having this. And some of those benefits and some of those reasons have changed and morphed over time. It used to be just a desire. It used to be just that feeling of wanting, and I don't want to say the word. It begins with an S, and it's a motive, hint, hint. That's changed over time. And that has become more stable, and it's sobered itself to the point where the motive behind having that building has become partially the risk-taking and the acceleration, but also the need and the interest and the desire and the motivation and the mood that I feel in to engage and spend time with people my own age. Just that alone. And even if I would seek comfort, emotional or intellectual comfort, that would also fall in line with the risk-taking. If I was feeling really down, depressed, etc., I could turn to somebody on YouTube. I could turn to, somebody that I follow, which comes after turning to family. There's a whole category. But I could also seek comfort and also get a sort of win-win when taking a risk and having those exhilarated feelings of connecting on an intellectual level with people my own age, and get comfort in that moment, nourishment in that moment that I seek. So it's a win-win at certain times. This new person coming in to my Edmonton, I think I'm going to be having her leaving this alone. Leaving that building alone. Over the years, there has been protests. There have been people against it coming to tell me to take it down. Superficial beyond belief and annoying and unrealistic officials dressed in certain professional clothes have written messages that have come to my door. For goodness sakes, we live in the 21st century. We live in modern society. We do not live in a castle, in the Underland, in Gregor the Overlander and the Underland Chronicles. Wear the clothes that are true for you to wear. Be who you want to be. And just write the messages down and send the message because you want to have a written message to come to me and tell me about what you want to talk to me about, and have something written so that you can look at it and reference it because you wanted to have a written message. It was not instructed or required of you to have this message and to deliver this message. You did it from your own autonomy, your own authenticity. That said, though, I'm sick and tired of having people protest against something that is not their own business. Because it's not your business. It's not people's business. You do your own thing and quit wasting your time, your breath, your energy on something that will not be changed, on something that does not concern you. Parents of those people in that building. I don't use people. They come, they get on a machine. I press a button or somebody else presses a button. They get cloned and then they get to leave. I have what I wanted. I didn't harm anyone. And if it came at the cost of harming people, I would not be doing what I'm doing right now. For those haters and naysayers and the people that have protested, you have no idea how much I peppered and annoyed and irritated those tech people in Joka who designed these cloning machines. I was very, I made sure. Is it safe? Is it ethical? They kept reassuring me over and over again, and I was very skeptical. But I could trust them. I wanted this. It wasn't too expensive. So, I understood and I became okay with it. And I could drop in and feel like it was right and not feel like it was wrong. It may have felt wrong initially, but that's the same kind of wrong that it feels when you are about to emerge into something new that's fine and that's good for you to do, but you feel the fear anyway. And we've all had that. If there was anything that didn't feel right, it was just that fear of doing something different and scary, but then again, it works fine. And I knew very well the circumstances and the conditions, and I find it despicable that there were people who were protesting against that. Here is my really big pet peeve. When somebody starts telling me what I know, and they start preaching and they start criticizing what I'm already aware of in my mind, it's stale, it is annoying, it's disrespectful, and it is irritating, and I will not tolerate that in my life. You're not going to do that when you are with me. And that brings me to the fact that, it's really, really important to consider the cost of what you're about to merge into. Is it so expensive that it goes against your value? Or can you afford it? There's money and then there's human value. From a neighbor perspective. And it didn't feel too expensive. I'll tell you something that was too expensive. November 21st, 2022. The cost of what I did was too expensive, and I paid for it anyway, and it didn't serve me in the highest at all. And I'm not going to do that again. I was stressed. I had an assignment due that I had to get done that night, and I could have done a couple of different things. I could have saw in advance and knew that it's too good to be true if I get time off, because Betty McGarry does not have time off during the semester not to do work. There is always constant homework, and that's the way it is. Was I surprised and shocked, and did I have a rude awakening? I didn't, because, I was in college and it was my first class, and what do you expect? There is going to be this work, there's going to be homework, there's going to be work. It kind of was a beast of a class, and there's several things I could say about it. But I could have saw it ahead of time, or, seen it ahead of time, and I could have just slowed down and decided, okay, I don't think today is a good day to do it. I think I'm going to wait until tomorrow. That way I'm in a good frame of mind that I can focus. Analyzing poems and answering higher order thinking questions and writing out and making an analysis, that requires you to be in a certain mindset. Focused, slow, steady, relaxed, in the present moment, willing to go through the process. If you're rushed, if you just want to get it done and you want to push yourself. Sorry, Mel Robbins. But I think that you're leaving out the fact that things do not happen quickly. Mel Robbins is amazing in what she does. I don't feel like she acknowledges the reality of the fact that you can't rush the process. It takes time, and you have to be willing to go slow and steady. I don't feel like she acknowledges that. Push yourself, but then get honest. There's also a time when it's right and when it's wrong. The reason why we as human beings stay in bed when we know we're supposed to get up is because we feel comfortable going in bed, and we feel like that's the right thing for us to do at that time. And then when we feel like it's not worth laying there anymore, that's when it's true for us to get out of bed and start our day, instead of just pushing yourself and doing it. That requires a lot of discipline. And, you have to go along with what is in human nature. Why judge yourself for not pushing yourself enough? Be kind to yourself and allow yourself that time to lay in bed until you feel like you want to get out of bed. And pushing myself at that particular time on that particular day was me being mean to myself, shooting myself in the foot, and torturing myself. I took myself and I went to the slaughterhouse, trying to rush and get this done to a deadline and a due date. It was due that night. And it was not an easy, fulfilling experience. Yes, I was glad that I got it done, but I look back going, that's guilty. The cost of this destroying my peace is much more than any grade or any external pressure to get this done. It's not worth sacrificing my personal value and my peace. It is not worth tearing that building down and destroying all that I have done, because I'm sick and tired of building things up and then destroying things, of making things and then deleting things. And I'm certainly not going to do that because it may not be ethical or moral, because it's limited myself. You have no idea how many videos I've made, and some of them, a lot of them I've deleted. Some of them I have, a lot of them I have, but a lot of them I've deleted. I'm not going to delete that building. And I want to make that clear. Thank you for tuning in.